Hello, and have you noticed my hair is a slightly different colour to normal? So if you've seen any of my previous videos, you all know that I am usually completely blonde. But today I've played with a little colour and I am lilac. And so my question to you is having coloured hair a non-natural colour, is it professional? So hello, welcome to Educated STEM. My name is Kate and I am the founder, and usually I post on professional development and kind of careers. But I thought today, considering I do have lilac hair myself, maybe we should touch on what is professional and what isn't when it comes to hair. And back in the day, obviously people didn't want you to have coloured hair. You had to have well-groomed hair at all times, and there might have even been an employee handbook for where you work which says what is and isn't advisable if you want to continue working there. And it probably said something along the lines of hair needs to be well kept, it needs to be a natural colour. Depending on where you work, it might need to be put up if it's long, and that's obvious if you work in maybe a food industry or possibly healthcare, because you don't want your hair getting in the way if you're, doing something with a patient. Probably also said something along the lines of no obvious piercings except possibly, one stud in your ears, no visible tattoos, that sort of thing. But now, we're in the 2020s, so those sort of rules may seem archaic. And I know a lot of places have kind of relaxed what is allowed in their company, depending on what you do. I'm not convinced that if you're a lawyer, you can walk in and, talk with lots of studs in your ears or extremely, flame blue or red hair or bright blue hair. I'm not sure that is allowed. But if you're working in science, and I know when I was doing my undergraduate studies, loads of people had very visible piercings and tattoos, and boys had mohawks and brightly coloured hair, and the girls were also playing with colour and whatnot. And I guess people thought, you're young, you're in your early to mid 20s, you're a student because you're either doing your undergrad, your graduate studies, whatever it is. But I don't remember seeing professors with hair like that. It was only in the past, decade that I saw some professors take risks when it came to hair colour or hairstyle. And yes, some of them might have tattoos, but you were usually covered up. But now, what is professional? And I'm going to ask you that question. What do you, depending on how old you are and what you do, is that professional? Everyone has their own opinion, right? So I would love to learn what you think. Please write it below. But I think it depends on what you're doing. If I'm going out and talking at institutions, which is how I make my money, most of the time I will make sure that I am not lilac. People never tell me it looks terrible or it's unprofessional. It's not like it's hot pink or anything. But I would usually make sure that I am blonde. Like, you've never seen me with a video before. Although if you look through my Instagram feed, you will see it occasionally, and even bright purple. I did that once too. But if I'm doing something where I'm going in to speak at an institution or a conference, I'm usually completely blonde. And I was just thinking, why do I do that? Because as long as my hair is neat, it's tidy, it's clean, surely it doesn't matter what colour it is. It's still professional. But do you agree? Or maybe it depends on how old you are and what was acceptable when you went into work, because some people are definitely more reserved and they don't think coloured hair or tattoos or piercings and things like that are acceptable in the workplace. So if you're considering doing something, I would just caution you to check your workplace policies, because you may have worked there for a few years, but when was the last time you looked at the rules? They might have very clear things that you can and cannot do depending on your appearance, especially if you're client facing. They might have very specific rules. You might also want to consider, if you're doing something, how long is it going to stay like that? Because this is not going to be here very long, a couple of weeks at most. It washes out. But if I wanted to keep this up, I would need to figure out how to do that. If it was a much darker color, once it begins to fade, is that going to look good? Is that going to make me look professional? Because it might begin to look washed out and a bit rubbish. So, think about these things, because whilst it's fun and it does look nice, you do want to be deemed professional in your place of work. And I would definitely say that if you're going for an interview or something like that, unless you always have brightly colored hair, it's part of who you are. It is absolutely part of, what you need to demonstrate and show about yourself. Then I would definitely think about whether the people that you're interviewing with will appreciate that look. If you do typically have, I don't know, blue hair, then obviously go to the interview with blue hair, because that is who you are. And if they don't like blue hair, and they can tell you, oh, we love you as a candidate, but, would you be willing to change your hair color? That's illegal in California, by the way. Where I live, it is absolutely illegal, but maybe in other places that isn't as illegal. So maybe they could say, would you be willing to go back to a more natural colored hair? So just consider it. I happen to love bright, bold colors on other people. I did not like the dark purple that, if you go through my Instagram feed, you will find the one time that this went a little bit wrong. So just think about it. I would urge you to consider how people perceive you. I will say that when I have lilac hair color, I have to think more carefully about what clothes I wear, because I don't want to wear a color that will clash with my hair. When it's blonde, I can wear any color I want because everything goes with blonde hair. But certain colors don't look as good against lilac or other colors. So it's just something to consider. And if you really want to have a little pop of color or something different, but you don't want to commit to something that's going to take a very long time to wash out, you could always put like a brightly colored extension somewhere in your hair. I know a few years ago it was really popular to have like a peekaboo section, so that underneath was a brightly colored hair, but you could like put your normal colored hair over the top. So depending on how you styled it, people could or could not see the hair. Something like that. And I will probably ask, I have a good friend who is an etiquette expert. So Mary, this is a question that is coming to you. What is the etiquette now for brightly colored hair, tattoos and piercings? Because depending on your career, I think it could be completely acceptable, or maybe it's less acceptable, especially in an ultra professional setting like being a lawyer, or possibly maybe a medical profession, or something like that. If you're more artsy, if you're doing something in marketing, or maybe you're an artist, or you work for TV, things like that, I'm sure you have an awful lot more leeway. So let's just think about this. I would be intrigued to find out your thoughts. If you do write that, I would, however, love to know what your age is, because I think that is key, and also what do you do, because I think that might also shape the lens of what we view as professional or not. So I hope that you have got some food for thought about what is professional or not in your appearance from this. And thank you for joining me. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.